What is happening, guys? It's me, Eder, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a review on the 15-30 Tamron. But before we get into depth on this beast of a lens, definitely hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. So first thing first, about this lens, it is definitely no light lens. It comes in at weighing at just 2.5 pounds, so it's definitely big and chody. The cool thing about it is that you're going to get some good stabilization from the motors inside, and since the lens is heavy, you're going to be getting some good sturdiness when it comes to shooting any photo or video at that. So the downside to this lens is that you can't attach any filters on the front end because of its large glass element on the front. But you can buy a filter holder to place your filters on the front end if you do want to do any long exposures. The cool thing about this lens is that it does come with a lens hood attached to the body, so it does protect the front end of the glass. So now I'm going to go ahead and test out this lens to see how it performs under my street photography test here in Tampa. I am going to be doing some leading lines or anything symmetrical to see how this lens does with barrel distortion, if it's either good or bad or just in between. So let's jump right into it. So I'm here making my way up these steps. As you guys already know, I'm always trying to get look-up shots, and this is perfect to test out the barrel distortion because of all the lines that are coming into play on the outside of this wall. I'm getting lower to the ground to get more of a wider angle shot when it comes to this look-up shot, and I can say that from what this upcoming photo is going to look, it looks great. There's no barrel distortion whatsoever on the bottom of the photo or around the edges that makes the photo look warpy, which is something that's very good when shooting out wide, especially with this Tamron lens. And for the second shot here, you can see that there is some curvature going on where the arrows are pointing at. It isn't anything too major, but you can notice it if you actually look very close, but the photo is still usable as well. And here as well, where the arrows are pointing at again, you can see that the beam that is running through the floors isn't really too straight. It is just a little bit slanted, but nonetheless the photo is still very usable and the turnout is very good. And finally, for a third shot here, I like the way the sun is hitting the beams. It's giving it that nice golden color that I like big time. As well as you can also see that there's very little distortion going on in the photo. The barrel distortion is very controllable on the lens. I could have used lens profile corrections, but I wanted to show you guys how the photos look before I used all that, and it's still very controllable without using any of those profile corrections. I'm definitely stoked on how all my photos came out with this lens. I challenged myself to only get leading lines or anything symmetrical with my photos. And I can say that this lens produces no barrel distortion. Let's get into this video by saying I know I said that the Tamron lens has no barrel distortion whatsoever when shooting out wide, but that's because when it came to looking at the photos, I was only looking at it on the back of my camera screen. It wasn't until I threw it onto my computer where I did notice some of the minor barrel distortions that this lens does have. Like I said, in my opinion, the photos are still very usable, and there isn't anything major to worry about when shooting out wide on this lens. So let's go ahead and jump back onto this video. And shooting at a high f-stop. That's something that's very important for me when I'm shooting out wide. This lens did very good, and I didn't see no barrel distortion whatsoever when shooting out wide. So you guys don't have to fear about the barrel distortion on this lens. So now let's keep it moving and let's go talk about how this lens does with weather sealing. You do have very good weather sealing on this lens. I definitely do like that there is a gasket on the back end of this lens to protect it from water from coming in. You do have very good coatings on the front end of the glass so that if water does go onto it, it'll just repel right off. Especially here in Florida where the weather is definitely bipolar, I definitely do like that this lens is very, very good on weather sealing. So just like the weather sealing when it comes to the coatings, the flaring on this lens is very good. So you're not going to have intense flaring when shooting into the sun or whenever the sun is around the frame. So let's go ahead and test out to see how good the coatings on this lens are when it comes to shooting into the sun. For this shot that we're going to get right here, it's similar to the one photo that I did get in my street photography tips. That's going to be linked down in my description, so definitely check that video out. And sorry for the GoPro the way it's aiming. I was hurrying up because the boat was passing by, but this is a shot that I did get here with the Tamron lens. The flaring is very minimal and you don't really see anything crazy going on because of that. And I definitely do like the way the coatings are helping out when shooting straight into the sun. And for this shot here, I waited for someone to walk out just like this guy right here. I lined myself up with the railing to get some leading lines, and I centered myself perfectly so that the photo was just mainly on him. And as you guys can see, with the sun being in the frame, everything about this lens is very good. The coatings on this lens definitely help out the flaring. It handles it very good, and I like the way the sun is rendered out. You see that there's many points on the sun. It gives it that nice burst. That's something that I really do like on this lens. So I'm done doing all my test shots to see if there would be any flaring when shooting into the sun, or if the sun would be anywhere in the frame. And I can say that the coatings definitely helped out on reducing the flaring. It was very good, and I saw minimal flaring whatsoever. About to be sunset. I'm gonna try to catch the city with some juicy colors of the sky. So hopefully that does come out really good. Definitely stay tuned on my Instagram to check out on how those photos came out. So it's starting to get a little darker now. I'm gonna be testing out this lens in slow shutter speeds to see how well it does with the stabilization built in. We're gonna be doing short, long exposures, handheld, to see how it performs. So photo mode, let's jump onto that. And for my final shots here, unfortunately my GoPro did die on me, so I wasn't able to record the rest of the night. But I did cheat a little bit here. I did use the railing to get this shot here. But nonetheless, the photo did come out great. As you guys can see on the bottom left, those are my settings that I use. And as well as you guys can see the lettering on the buildings, that they're still very sharp for it being handheld. And everything about this photo is super sharp, and I definitely do like the stabilization on this lens. And for the final shot here, guys, I only switched my f-stop and my ISO just to let a little bit more light in, but my shutter still remained the same. As you guys can see, the buildings are still intact, nothing is dragging along from the handheld movement, and the stabilization on this lens is very good. I think the weight of the lens did help me out a little bit too, because this bridge is a little bit shaky, but nonetheless, guys, the way this lens performs with stabilization is definitely very good, and I do love it. Like I said in the previous video, guys, my GoPro did die on me and we weren't able to stay in photo mode for too long. I do like how the lens did perform when I was shooting on the bridge, because it is a shaky bridge, and the stabilization on there did compensate for that. Especially the weight of the lens, it did as well help out. Honestly, for a 4 to 5 year old lens, this lens does perform like a beast. I know that there is a second version of that lens, but in my opinion, the first version still performs like a tank, and I was trying to save some money, and this lens is phenomenal. So that concludes today's video, guys. If you're able to find this lens online, I would say definitely jump on it if you're able to get it for a good price. I jumped on it, and I'm really excited by all the photos that I did get from it. I'm gonna end off the video by me taking a nighttime cityscape shot of a long exposure. So as always, guys, definitely smash that like button, hit that subscribe as well. And as always, guys, keep creating.